When it comes to hair blending, especially when you're doing this at home, there's a lot of things you have to pay close attention to. Well, firstly is making sure you have a good pair of scissors and a good hair cutting comb. When you're blending hair, all you're doing is making a connection from the shorter hairs into the longer hairs as you're working your way up. So let's take this and let's just cut all this off in one shot. Now, you can see what that did. It left a much longer piece down with you here. So for me to now blend this, I have to comb and work the hair upwards to where it eventually matches up with this length throughout the top here, like so. And that requires a lot of patience, a lot of skill, and a lot of just maneuvering with your hands. So I'm right-handed, and in this hand, what I'm doing is I'm making sure that I'm using just my thumb. So if I were to hold my hand like this and I'm going to go like this, that is what you want to be doing when you're cutting hair. For example, as you can see, there, I'm moving my thumb. You don't want to be chomping like this at the hair. That's not going to work well. Instead, you take the hair, and depending on how short or how long, that will determine how far away from the head you want the comb to be from the scalp. That's how long the hair is going to be. So the closer the comb is to the scalp, you can see the shorter the hair is going to be, right? Just like this. And then when it comes to blending, what you need to do is you need to work step by step and make sure that you are actually rotating the comb more away from the head like this, so it's going to actually work into and blend. That's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to blend the hair together. So again, this is a somewhat more advanced technique, and it really comes down to how short do you want it. Now here's another thing. Now we're gonna blend this together. So I held this out like that. All this hair on the bottom underneath is going to be longer, and I just created a ledge right here. So what do I need to do? I need to comb this hair out like so and rotate so that I could see where the hair is shorter, and then there is where the hair is longer, and I'm using my thumb and I'm working my way upwards. And I'm gonna do that until that line disappears, because that line is just a heavier section from the top, and then now it's gone. Now, depending on some heads, you might have to work on a different angle like this. Like for example, I'm now cutting and angling my scissors downwards, because maybe I'm gonna get a better visual of where I need to blend everything. So when you're working the hair in, and especially you're doing at-home haircuts and stuff, this all plays a big role in the end result. Keep in mind, when you are blending hair, the comb has to be following a certain pattern. Okay, the comb has to be constantly moving and making sure that you're getting those knots out. Always comb and cut, comb and cut. So you're combing and cutting, right? I'm combing and then I'm cutting. So I'm making sure that everything is really working in sync to each other. And one of the best tips that I could suggest is, and this goes for, even if you're a professional watching this, is always make sure that you're able to see the hair from underneath, okay? Here's another example. And if your hair maybe isn't, like, you don't want your hair to be really, really short, let's just say you want your hair to just be, I don't know, 3 inches long or 2 inches long in length, and you don't want to have it so short. What you need to do is you need to just kind of establish how far, or the length of where you want this haircut to be, like this, by combing it out from the head. And if I comb this out from the head and I cut this like this, well, guess what? That's how long the hair is going to be. So there's my length right there. And if I go closer to the head, let's do this same section a little bit shorter. Let's go a little bit closer to the head. Well, there you go. Now it's shorter. So now that each section overlays on top of itself, and that's where you have to determine how do you blend this in, okay? And blending this in is really just a matter of, okay, so here's the shorter pieces underneath, here's the longer pieces. Let's comb this up. Oh, I can see the shorter hair underneath, and now I'm going to work this and blend this in to where it's now connected and it's blended. And then from that point, you determine, you know, how do you work things up? How do you eventually get longer and longer? So you have to go from, you know, shorter, and then rotating the comb out like this is going to make the hair longer. All right, and that's where the magic of all this happens. And there you can see now I'm gonna maybe cut this on an angle, and that's it. Here we go, another section as we work our way towards the top. Right? This is where it gets more complicated. Let's just say, like, you know, you want to leave a little bit of length on the top. So here's where the last section was cut right in through here. And I can see if I hold this out, that's how long that hair is. So let's say I want to cut this on an angle, but I want to work everything else up. You're able to leave this hair longer and blend this into the top by altering the angle of the comb. So now we're going on a shorter to longer angle, and then we're able to work everything in to the point where it's now blended, but it's blended because of the way we held the comb and the angle. So there we go, you can see. So it's all about rotating like this. And now we have a haircut to where, let's just say you want to leave the top and the front a little bit longer. Well, here's that last piece we cut for the corner, and watch this. There's the guide. We want to leave this even longer, and look at the way the comb is pointed. The comb is pointed downwards. And look, there we go. Now we've created an angle to where this is longer. So the whole point now is let's leave that alone, and let's see what we have as far as the rest of the hair goes. And now we're going to start to angle the comb more outwards like this, and extend it away from the shorter pieces and work it up like that. And that's how we create a blend in haircuts. And it gets even more and more complicated, but the more you become familiar with utilizing scissors and seeing where the lines are, and realizing, oh, if I comb the hair outwards, I can actually see the ledge, and now I can control that and get rid of it if I were to just work the hair and work the comb upward. So it's really a lot of times following the head shape like this. A lot of times it's following the head shape like this. Again, the most important thing is make sure you can see what's happening at all times, meaning you comb this hair out, and every hair in this comb, right, is playing a certain role. As I lift and see how I'm turning the comb away from me. That's gonna leave the hair longer, and you can see we have a beautiful blend in through here going shorter into longer, right? And then you've got that longer piece in the front if you want that. Also make note that anytime I do scissor over comb, or I'm doing blending, I'm usually doing it on dry hair, especially when the hair is a bit shorter. You're using clippers and things like that. Doing it on dry hair really, really is going to be essential. And then this goes for the whole entire back of the head, right? It just becomes a guide for you to really take control of your haircuts. And it really comes down to having good scissors. These are my own scissors. I actually do sell these. I don't have that many left. I think I only have like 10 left on my website. These are really, really sharp. So you have to make sure that you're using sharp scissors. Again, do this at your own risk because, you know, they're sharp and you don't want to be cutting yourself. But the benefit is that, you know, the hair is not folding, it's not bending, it's coming off in one shot, which is what you want. And you can see how I'm getting through all this, especially on thicker hair types. Blending is something that's an art form, but a lot of you who are cutting hair at home, you need to understand that there's many different ways you can do this, and it all really comes down to how you're turning and positioning the hair cutting comb. I tend to use, now on a hair cutting comb, you can see here, there is the teeth. There's the teeth with the finer side and the thicker side right here, the wider teeth. So there's the finer teeth and wider teeth. For thicker hair types, I tend to use the wider side, but if you're going to use this side, you're going to actually get a much shorter, tighter result. That is where it's not as forgiving. This side, on the wider teeth, these are a lot more forgiving. I do sell these combs, shop.thesalonguy.com. You can get them on my website as well as the scissors. Use code YouTube20 for 20% off. Let me know in the comments below if you found this video helpful. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you soon.